reaction. Joining us from Washington, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer from the London Center for Policy Research, John Hanna from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Who is stronger on ISIS, Mr. Hanna, Trump or Clinton?
I just don't see enough difference between Clinton's strategy and the president's strategy, Bill, to make me believe that she would be aggressive enough. Listen, I've had a lot of disagreements with Trump in terms of his temperament, but there was real progress in the national security speech he gave this week. First, the sense of priority and urgency he attached to fighting Islamic radicalism, not just ISIS, but al-Qaeda, as well as the Shiite jihadists in Iran and Hezbollah. So he's going to apply a lot more resources to this, it sounds like. He stopped the trash talking of our NATO and Arab allies. He now wants to work with them rather than against them. And he also had a very important focus on the need to fight the ideology of ISIS. We've got to crush that ideology just like we crushed Soviet communism. Simply defeating them on the battlefield isn't going to be enough, or else we're going to be back at this problem
so you
again
say Trump,
and again.
At this point, has a stronger point of view, anti-ISIS point of view. What about you, Colonel?
Oh, I agree. I think we have to look at the reality of what will come out of this and look who's advising the candidates. Mike Flynn has made very clear what his intentions are. General Flynn, former director of DI, wrote a book about the basic way to defeat ISIS. And Bill, right here on your show, by the way, Mike's one of our senior fellows at the London Center. Right here on your show 2 years ago, we put forth the idea of an Arab NATO. And not to dispute what you and Senator Feinstein have said, you have the right concept, but not the right technique. We need to look at an Arab NATO for a long-term solution to resolve the very issues we've all just talked about. Combat forces, which are Arab, basically empowered to do their own defense, and then have the Arabs, like President al-Sisi of Egypt, who has said you must eradicate violence from the religion, have them take up the work with us to go after the message. So we've got to look for not only the short term, let's go in there and kick their butts and win, but how do we win the peace?
All right.
So I think Trump's better on that case.
I'm not opposed to an Arab alliance that would be against terrorism, but I think it would take many, many years to organize that. Whereas NATO's already in place. Is there any reason on earth, Mr. Hanna, that 20 NATO countries are still sitting it out? I mean, Obama could make them in one day say yes or no, and if they say no, then we could take them out of NATO. Why should we protect these countries? Why should we spend money in these countries if they're not going to sign on against ISIS?
No, I agree with you, Bill. I think the problem here, a lot of it is just U.S. will. I don't think the president wants.
He hasn't let it all
to get
again.
NATO.
He hasn't said anything. He hasn't encouraged them. They can sit it out with no consequence. I mean, it is just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous situation. And, Colonel, right now in Aleppo, Syria, people are starving to death.
Right.
Refugees, innocent people. I mean, NATO providing safe zones inside Syria and Iraq is absolutely doable. It's not an offensive ground thing. It's just protecting innocent people. And yet President Obama, putting himself up as this great humanitarian, has not lifted one finger to make this happen.
We proposed this 2 years ago to members of Congress of both parties, and both defense and intelligence and foreign affairs, to create a safe zone bill. You can invoke Article 5 of the NATO Charter and do it immediately.
Put NATO troops on the ground there and bring in resources to feed and clothe and shelter these people. And then if anybody comes close to them, then you kill them.
And you use that as a base of operations to go attack them. Absolutely.
That's
you create a space to go do it.
You set it up. Look,
absolutely.
Look, Raqqa, Mr. Hanna, is only 30 miles away from Turkey. All right? And Turkey's a NATO nation, so you can do the math. You can knock out Raqqa in a week. But they don't have the will. They don't have the will. Now, Hillary Clinton has said that she will not put ground troops, either American or NATO, at this point. I believe Mrs. Clinton's going to change her tune. I do. I could be wrong on that, but I think that she's still with the far left, still kind of negotiating that. What do you say about that, Mr. Hanna?
Listen, I think, Bill, I think ground troops will absolutely be needed, both American as well as NATO and Arab partners. And actually, the Arabs have actually publicly offered up ground forces to fight ISIS in eastern Syria. But I don't think either one of the candidates at this point are being honest enough with the American people about that. We're going to have to go in there probably in a bigger way with a larger American component to destroy these guys as fast and as quickly as Mr. Trump says we need to.
All right. And last word, do you believe that as well, Colonel?
I believe we're going to have to enhance our shaping operations. There's going to be a great reluctance to get in a ground conventional army in there. I'm one of those who believes we can do a lot more. I know we can do a lot more with special operations forces. But Bill, not only must we win the tactical fight, I spoke to senior members of the Pentagon, and they cannot get the authority to go after ISIS globally. As Senator Feinstein said, they're expanding. We got to get ahead of them. So until we do that, it's all moot.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.